So this is John Wood, President and CEO of Healthcare Alliance North America. Today we have Dr. Cunningham with us, and we are going to learn everything we possibly can about you today. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Be fun, John. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I met you through my significant other, and she just raved about you nonstop. Yeah. So then when I had the opportunity to meet you, I was duly impressed, and now we get the opportunity to work together a little bit.
Yeah.
But today I just kind of want to know, like, what makes Dr. Will Dr. Will? Like, how did this come to? How did you find this path? I know just fractions of your story that you shared.
Sure.
But I'm curious to know, like, take it all the way back. When did you know that you could be an incredible therapist or have the desire to help people?
Gosh, that is a very sorted question, very hard, very robust question to answer. But taking it back, John, I would probably have to go as far back as my childhood. Mm-hmm. You know, I actually grew up in a children's home of all places.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Where was it located?
It's Columbia, South Carolina.
Close by. Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in a children's home, and how I got there, my mother and father were both alcoholics. They had addiction issues. My mother also had some under the counter medication issues. You know, she was a nurse, and so she struggled with her addiction issues. Today we would call it opiates, but her day was something totally different. Valium probably, and so she was kind of.
They had the good stuff back then.
Oh, they
over the counter,
and so she had a hard time. There were 6 of us kids, and by the time she was 25, she was 6 of us.
6 kids by 25.
And I was a twin, believe it or not.
Really?
And, yeah, I was, and I still am, I guess. But I was an accident. They didn't know they were going to have twins until about 2 weeks before.
Wow.
But all that said, there was abuse in the home. There was just these life issues that a lot of folks experience in this world today. Was happening back then as well in the late 60s and early 70s. And my mother couldn't. She did the greatest thing that she could do. It may seem like she didn't do the right thing, but her and my dad split up, and she ended up putting us all in a children's home because she couldn't afford to take care of us.
Yeah.
And so I think from the genesis of those days, I began to really experience some issues of suffering, emotional trauma, and whatnot from those days. And I was just looking for a path to try to understand what was happening. And so 7 years later, get out of the children's home.
What age were you when
I was
that
6 years old when I was put into the children's home.
And were you on the older side of your relative, your brothers and sisters, or the younger side?
I was the younger side. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had several brothers.
6 or 7.
I had an older sister, older brother, another older sister, which is a middle sister, and then me and my twin brother, and then my little sister.
Okay, wow.
And so
all within a 6-year time span of having babies.
So it was pretty, it was pretty chaotic, and in short, I got out of the children's home. I had a lot of, I would call it an emotional trauma.
Big time.
For many reasons.
Yeah. The only relatability I have at all to that is my dad leaving at 7.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so
same thing.
That was super traumatic.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I didn't get put into children. That's a whole nother level of trauma that as a 7-year-old, we can't comprehend any of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you're a very present being, but traumatized at that point.
Yeah. So, I had no identity. I didn't have a dad, much like you.
Yeah.
I didn't have a dad to look to. What I had was just memories of, being hit and beaten, hiding underneath a bed or behind a door. And and so my mother ended up putting us in the children's home. And then, I saw her drive off, and I never thought I would see her again. But she remarried and got us out several years later. And to make the story, to make it even worse, is she relapsed. And within a year, she relapsed. She had gotten us out of the children's home. and then she put us back into the children's home.
Wow, man.
And
Just
so
a
that
spin
was
cycle.
major. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about kicking a good guy when he's down. I didn't know what as a child and an adolescent, getting to this place of being a teenager, I didn't know how to process any of this.
Of course not.
And she did the greatest thing that she could do. I don't want to call her a hero, but she realized that she could not sustain 6 children on the income, and she came from a well-to-do family, but she needed to get into recovery herself.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she did. And I used to blame her for many years until I realized well into my 40s and early 50s that, wait a second, she's far more braver than she could ever have been, because she had to.
The interesting thing about that is you mentioned in your early 40s and 50s, right, is when the relatability started to click in on her situation as opposed to what you were going through.
Yeah.
And isn't that how life works?
It is.
Coming up on 40, it's like I'm realizing a lot more.
Yeah.
It's easier to view it when you have a little life experience.
Yeah. And so, exactly. And hindsight's our best friend, but to your point, I did not like having to face some of my own issues and trauma. I can deal with everybody else's.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, and I'm really good at it. But to deal with my own, it was a little difficult. And all that said, she got us out, and 4 years later, I was in the Navy. Yeah, joined the Navy and I became an intelligence professional, intelligence specialist is what they called us, and I began to work with just different different parts of the Navy. They have all the different special units that out there, from EOD to the SEALs. And so I was able to do a lot of work with just different entities, if you will, of the intelligence community, and including special forces.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that part eludes me just a little bit, because it's like you enter in the Navy with that expectation, or after they recognize, hey, we got someone special on our hands, we need to kind of route them this way. Like, how does that work?
Well, believe it or not, mine was a little bit more organic. I went in as an engineer, and my dad was a mechanic, so maybe maybe I got that gene, and before he left. And so I enjoyed working with my hands and my mind and stuff like that, but I just didn't. Engineering was just not the thing for me in the Navy, and they had this thing about intelligence, and I was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And I just was. Information was always important to me, and obviously, as a kid with that background, I was hungry for truth.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the organic piece that drove me, because I just wanted to know. And so the next thing you know, they have something called striking out, and I struck out to be an intelligence specialist.
Okay.
And that's how I got it. They loved it. They brought me into their operations, and then they said, you have to sign a waiver and then sign on for more years of the Navy, and we'll send you to all these fun special schools. And that's what I did.
Wow.
And so it was great. I had all these things that give you top secret clearance, and and then once you get your top secret clearance, they kind of ask you want more. They have caveats behind your clearance, and so they read you into all these programs. And I think part of how this all connected with me here now, and what I do maybe with Oasis and your organization and the community that you and I live in. One of the things that had taken place is I got job after job, assignments after assignments, and some of the most coolest things in the world.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was just fun.
I can't fully imagine, but I can picture, especially like at that age, how exciting that could be.
Yeah, exactly. It's in my 20s.
Invigorating.
Yeah, 20s, late 20s, early 20s, and late 20s, and traveling all over.
Yeah, with a purpose too.
Huh?
You with you're not just tourists.
Oh, yeah.
You're there with a purpose.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember and this is probably dating me, but a little bit. But I remember
45, right?
No, it's when the Olympics was going on in Seoul, Korea.
Okay.
We were assigned to go and provide, as intelligence embed into Seoul, Korea, and collect information. Of course, I don't know if that's even good to mention, but that's what we did. That was during the '88 Olympics, and
Wow.
we had
Wow.
assignments like that all just to watch and monitor and provide situational awareness.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So
And
with that, do you get like full clearance to be at any event you want?
just
Pretty much
about,
anywhere?
yeah, just about, absolutely.
Sounds fair enough.
Yeah. And so we did that, and as the years go by, I had all these different assignments, and then I took a time out. I got out of the military for a season. I did, and then I ended up staying in the reserves just so that I can keep my clearance and keep work, because I was still fascinated by it. And then
about how old were you then?
I was in my 30s then.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
in my 30s, mid 30s, and so as a weekend warrior, you go and you spend time somewhere once a month, and you're still doing your job as an intelligence professional and everything else, but you're providing services to other organizations based on what the government's needs were, and then I did some ministry work, just kind of got involved with some organizations and charity work and everything else, and then 9/11 happened, and I happened to move from Hawaii to here.
Gosh, I remember 9/11 so well because I was in high school at the time.
Yeah.
And when 9/11 was going down, it was like the first time that the school stopped.
Yeah.
Right, and then they're putting the broadcast on the school, and I remember I was in my history teacher's class. Gosh, I wish I remember her name. He's a very inspiring guy. But anyways, just seeing the magnitude of that. It stopped the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all stopped and watched.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really took us back.
Yeah,
and I just felt. I'm watching it. I just I need to do something. And so I right after that happened, I sat down with my kids, and and I remember telling my kids. There's this quote by Edmund I like. And it says, bad things happen when good men stand by and do nothing. And I shared that with my kids. I said,
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And maybe it was overly noble, but I said, your dad's going to have to go do something. I've got this this education, this skill set, and I'm going to look into doing something good. Right. And so, sure enough, intelligence agency, had a posting, and they asked me to go overseas with Special Forces. 7th Group at the time was over there, and they asked me to be their intel embed, and so I got to run with those guys all over the country, and a lot of stories about that and everything else, and then some more time went by, and I did that with a few other units in 3rd Group and 19th Group, and so that's kind of my story behind all the working with those guys, and then I came back and became a contractor. Still in the reserves. I came back and did a lot of work for other agencies per se.
Just contract work though.
Yeah, it was the same work. It was
okay. Yeah,
It was just I was much like you've contracted me to help with your program.
Okay, I understand.
They contracted my intelligence profession or talent to work with their military and everything else. So it was a great gig. I got to travel all over the world. And so it allowed me to be in just all these different countries and everything else. And so, to answer your question, how did you get, how did you get involved in this? Well, I love people.
Yeah.
From the genesis of my broken childhood, I just saw a great need for really just coming alongside people and doing life with them.
Yeah.
And I think I think you'll probably laugh at this, but I think one of the greatest talents that I have is not necessarily my methodology or therapies or coaching so much as I've had a top secret clearance, and I know how to keep a secret.
Yeah, there you go. So that's always one thing with me in therapists. Like if I switch or have a new one, I'm interviewing them for the first couple sessions. I want to know, like, hey, do you respect HIPAA?
Yeah.
Is what I'm telling you confidential?
Yeah.
I don't have to do that with you.
Yeah. So I mean, I always tease and say, I know how to keep a secret.
Yeah.
So with that said,
what a huge shift, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just such a different pattern. And one thing I was trying to understand, like when you're going through all this and you're doing these contracts and you're working, like where did you find time for school? Did that come later, or was that
That did
during?
come, well, some of it was pieced in over periods of time. I was always interested in psychology. I was always interested. So I
'Cause
schooled
you got a
my-
lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I schooled myself throughout all those periods of my life.
Okay.
And I'm not your traditional student. I mean, I did go, I did get my master's, and then I did get my doctorate, and that was all kind of focused on schoolwork. But a lot of that all the certificates and all the postgraduate certificates, I did those things as, just because I'm hungry for knowledge and hungry for things that might be applicable to helping people in their life's journey.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so along with all that, one of the things that I realized that was going on in my life, and it was kind of an introspective self-reflection, is that people are hurting, and I hurt, and I still have things. I've got PTSD that I have to manage, and I understand. I just understand emotionally what you have to go through. And so I think with that, I just had a love for mankind. The word philanthropic or philanthropy is is the means to love mankind, and I did it because I do, and I know that you do, and that's what we're about, or what your organization is about, because we want to see people well, and I've seen it throughout my life, and as I say that. I remember being overseas once, and I was doing a different program with a different organization. And I happened to be in Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon, and in the surrounding area. And there was a huge refugee issue there from the Syrian conflict that was going on. ISIS had overtaken Syria and pushed out their own ethnic group.
Wow.
And many of those folks went into different countries like Jordan and Lebanon and in Turkey. And so there's over 2 million Syrian refugees. And so I went over to work with some organizations over there to help provide some situational awareness and some training.
And what year was that?
That was in the mid 2000s.
Okay.
Mid 2000s.
Okay.
So I did that, and then along with all that, it really hit me that I'm a warrior, and I have a warrior's heart. I don't want to be a self-proclaimed warrior. I don't want to do that, but I just have a warrior's heart.
You got the scars and bruises and the trauma to classify that.
Right, and I had I just had a deep desire to fight for mankind and fight for justice of some sort. And so, and I remember, and I don't know where the voices came from, but I just felt like something was planted in my soul at that point. He says, well, you're here, but your weapons are different. You have a weapon now, and so you're no longer carrying a gun or some technology of some device of weaponry or whatever, but now you're with people and you have to carry love, a weapon of love, a weapon of kindness, a weapon of compassion, and a weapon of concern. Because this is mankind, and this is who you love, and this is because you're a part of it.
Right.
And so that's kind of how all that happened. And then I began, I cracked down to get all the things that I needed to get done. I had opened my practice at that time, and I really made a decision at that point. So, I really need to be serious about helping people.
Yeah.
And so to sum it up, I just want to love people and love them well. And so when you invited me to be a part of helping love people and love them well, I couldn't say no.
Yeah. No, I mean that piece of it's been incredible. And just some of the other work that I've seen you do personally, and like your availability for folks when they're at their bottoms, always answering your phone, texting nonstop. It's just incredible. It's not normal. It's hard to find.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
It is very hard to find someone that has the level of passion to where it's almost like it's small sacrifices or big potentially in your personal life to make sure others are okay.
Well, it is. But I'll go back to my quote. bad things happen when good people stand by and do nothing.
Right.
And it's on my conscience. I have the availability to do that. And you have a family. My family's all grown and gone.
Yes, that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Because we come here and work, but then like when I get off work, I'm a taxi driver.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're an Uber man.
Yeah. I got my son's basketball for this. It's 4:00 or whatever, and then we got my oldest daughter's dance, and I thank God for Allie and Vanessa, who help a ton with all that stuff. But yeah, it's full blast.
Yeah, it is. It's great. It is that's your season in your life, but for me, my kids are all grown and gone, and I'm now able to devote, my time with to a new value in my life, and it's the people that I feel like God puts in front of me. And so if it's John today, or if it's our friend Will tomorrow, I'm going to pay attention to them and do whatever I can to help them navigate their life. And I think with that, that's counseling, that's therapy work, and that's advising. Sure. And then I realized one day that I had difficulties with a lot of clients coming in, and a lot of things were not changing. And so that's where the coaching came in, as I needed to design and find some methodologies to really help people reach well.
Yeah, this is where you and I are very similar, right? So like I started Oasis out of passion. I have my story and all these things as well that I've been through that led me to wanting to start that, right? And then I started it with very little knowledge, knowing I needed an incredible clinical team if I was going to be good. But we started it as a 30-day program, right? And my frustration came in when we were not that successful. I feel like we were better than some, but every, at least a piece of every day, and you do the same thing, is like just trying to figure out a slightly better process until the success rates go up. So I love that that's how you got into coaching. Like, you are doing the therapy piece, and you realize that a lot of people need this.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, like, and a lot of places talk about doing coaching, right? And we've done coaching multiple different ways. We've done them with non-master's level therapists. We've done them with peer support people, and then now we're doing them with you. And the difference is how defined and methodical your program actually is. Like, just, I could think of some current examples, and of course I'm not going to say names, but these are clients that we had that were kicking and screaming and didn't want to even be in treatment, that now, after working with you and working with some of the people at our center, they're asking for extensions, and that's incredible.
Yeah.
Coming from like every word out of their mouth being a lie to having a lot of truth in there.
They're trying to run, and I one of the things
I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there,
and so have I. And one of the things I often share with folks, whether they're coming out of the Oasis model and the or others, that I really get into their eyes, and I just say, you've got to trust the process.
Yeah.
You've got to trust the people that have put in your life for a reason. And I share that with them. I said, this is a one-time thing. Look at it as a one-time thing, and it's going to be the greatest investment of your entire life. And that's what people don't do. They don't think about investing in themselves in such a way. And that's why I like the coaching piece of it. I enjoy all the therapy models and everything else. But the coaching is really about getting, fine-tuning a more balanced life and having well-being.
Yeah.
And I often tell people, I say, listen, it's not always about happiness. We can run to things that make us happy, but it's about having well-being. So when the happy things are not there, you still have well-being.
Yep.
And that's the whole point, because we're going to go through all these different emotions and everything else. But I'm glad to hear that, John, that, some of the folks are just, kind of changing their tune a little bit, They just got to trust the process. And it's hard because I want to run, I want to get done, I just want to graduate, I want to be over this and be well.
Yeah, well, I want to get back to work, I want to make money, I want to, but all these things, normally, especially in the first couple weeks of recovering, is in the back of their mind, what they're really saying is, I want to get high.
Yeah.
Right. But they're telling us, I need to do it. Got to do this. Got to do that. And that's just how our brain is wired. And unfortunately, when we get hooked on anything, really, it takes so long to rewire to get off of it. Yeah. So like, I hear what they're saying, but then I also hear the underlying reason for why they're sick.
Yeah. Exactly right.
It's like, if you don't have time for this, then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of science in that. In my program, in our program that you've allowed me to share with your organization, it's all evidence-based and science-based, and which is very, very important. Fully researched by, with all the professionals that are out there. And so it's not a joke.
No.
It really is, if people can follow and maybe adopt some of the principles and philosophies and precepts that are there, their perception of life is going to change. And even as you share some of the things that you just shared, I often think about just, one of the tackles that I have sometimes with folks, regardless who they are, is that, they don't understand the science of how their brain works. They get addicted to this thing called, this dopamine transmitter that is,
of course.
And that's what's really happening, and they keep going back to that.
Yeah,
And,
or something different, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a pill form or whatever the substance is. It can be anything.
It could be.
There's a lot of dopamine available from a lot of different sources.
I like Tesla cars and motorcycles.
Oh, I love cars, and I love driving. I'm fast sometimes,
Yeah, and I'm you and I were talking about golf earlier. I like golf. I mean, I don't play a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I get a rush.
Me too.
I get a
Me
dump.
too.
And it's like, oh my gosh, that would be kind of cool to go. We were talking about Pebble Beach, so there are fun things, and one of the things I often share with folks is that there's a theory that's a scientific proven theory called Hipps rule or Hipps law, and neurons that fire together will wire together, and it's about changing your habits.
Yep.
And so it's the whole idea is when certain neurons, you get so used to firing off these neurons that talk to your nervous system to tell you to do. To act a certain way, well, you may need to refire them so they wire to the right neurons and change your life and change your habits and so forth.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff there, but
no, it's all 100% accurate. I mean, the thing is, when I think about golf, right? Because I'm a big golfer, and it's one of my therapeutic outlets, right?
Yeah.
Get a lot of dopamine from it, get a lot of frustration from it at times, but it's a lot like life. Like, it's just a series of mistakes on the golf course. It's on every level. You talk to a pro and they'll tell you it's a series, like it's just a bunch of mistakes you have to overcome. That's how you play golf. And then, of course, you have those rounds, or we have those days in life that everything just goes right. But that's pretty uncommon. Normally we have those days to where, okay, how are we going to meet this challenge?
Yeah.
And it's taken me forever, especially with golf and with life. It's taken age to just look at, okay, I've hit a bad shot, right? And now I have a wonderful opportunity to hit an incredible shot.
Yeah.
Rather than getting frustrated about, the circumstances that happen in life or this and that.
Yeah.
Just continuing forward.
Yeah. I, as you say that, I had this story, very quick story. One of the best golf tips I've ever had, and I think you can apply this to life, to addictive behaviors, to habits, unhealthy habits. I remember learning how to play golf. My handicap is horrible. I just like to play.
Yeah.
We
got to get out sometime.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to talk about that with you, because I know your handicap's a lot better than mine. But I remember when I was learning, I was on the tees, I just had a very difficult time with my one wood.
Okay.
I had a very good
driver is
difficult
hard
time.
for you, yeah.
I was very good with my three.
Okay.
And my three driver, and because it was smaller and I was in more control of it. And I remember, with a bunch of buddies that were very good golfers and playing, and I would go and make my approach, and position myself with the tee, and I'm just trying to find the right stance, right grip, and everything else. And I would use my one wood and or driver, and I would hit the ball and it slices or it hooks, and or it grounds, and I'm like so frustrated.
Yeah.
In my so because I'm with these dudes that are really good golfers, and it's like I can't wait to get back to the clubhouse and just go and get this over with and get ridiculed.
Yeah.
And just a good friend of mine just walked up and because I was taking a mulligan, and just trying to get better at this, and he just comes up and he says, "Stop thinking about it."
Yes, that's
Stop
the
thinking
key.
about it. Don't
That's the
overthink
key.
this.
Yeah.
Just go. You already know what to do. You've already got the grips and everything else. just go out and swing the ball. And I
Yeah,
think
just go have
sometimes,
fun.
we
Yeah.
so that as a metaphor to say sometimes we overthink our life.
We absolutely do, and that's where the fear lives. That's
And
where
the problems of
yeah,
our
that's where
life.
the problems. That's where the anxiety lives. Yeah, everyone's gonna have hurdles. Unfortunately, as humans, that's just part of the story. But it's like if you can get through a lot of those hurdles, and like especially like with addiction or whatever else people are dealing with, and get out of that into things to where you're getting joy. But also like no, it's just never easy. I think when I was young, I kind of thought, first of all, I was invincible, right? I think a lot of people do when they're young, but I thought it was kind of going to be easy.
Yeah.
This whole life thing.
No.
And come to find out, especially my journey, it was very challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm grateful for it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful to make it through things, over things, and then my mind is always working a bit in the future, right? But trying to stay present.
Yeah, you're a good visionary, John, for sure. But I would even say, and I don't know all of your story, but I think as we talk about our love for golf and the metaphor itself, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think sometimes it's okay to take a mulligan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, we
Absolutely.
need to take a mulligan.
Yep.
Just finish the game.
Yep.
Finish the game and take a mulligan when you need it.
Yep. And the thing is, like, if if you're serious about it, you're in a tournament or something like that, mark your 2 strokes. Who cares? Just drop the ball, hit it, and continue to play.
Yeah.
You know. But absolutely,
But finish it, right? Yeah.
Finish the round. That's
finish
that's
it
the
well.
deal. Yeah. Yeah, and finish it with your head up.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can think about some stuff I've went through in life where, I mean, it's just incredible to still be here. But much less, I did not finish tasks with my head up.
Yeah.
It's something I'm a lot better at today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going through challenging things and doing it for the most part with a smile on my face.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very awesome. But it is. It's about being okay to take that mulligan. You haven't failed just because you take a mulligan. So
that's kind of like coming to treatment or asking you for help.
Yeah.
That first call is so challenging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily a mulligan, but it's like just taking a step back and accepting the fact that I need help. And maybe these people can help me.
Yeah, absolutely. With a lot of the clients that that you and your organization have referred over or have assigned to our coaching, my coaching platform. I always try to get to know them a little bit, and one of the things that I've taken note of, is through the process of getting to know them and coaching them through this program that we have. One of the things that I have learned is that people do come to terms that they really haven't got life figured out, and they thought they did, but they didn't. And now that they're in a place that they're maybe a little bit, it's a little humbling, it's a little hard, but it's a good place. It's really the greatest place in the world to be in when you're having to take some time in your life and to learn what does it mean to have a more fuller and balanced life. And I think that's our goal, is not only to be addictive free, but to have really good well-being, restore families, restore relationships, have purpose and value in your life again. And I think one of the other things is we use a sailboat metaphor, is that we want to teach people to be on a journey and to look at your life as a process, not just a destination here and a destination here, but a process. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, that's the biggest trick, and I think that's what the goal is.
Yeah,
like how do we get humans that we have the opportunity to work with to just be enjoying whatever the journey is.
Yeah.
And I love that you separate the two between like happiness
and wellness,
and wellness, because like living a well life that you can be proud of and have purpose.
Yeah,
that's I think the best we can ask for as humans. I'm not sure. I mean, I know some people have these crazy capacities to where they can do all these incredible things.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's God-given, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
God can only give so much.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's the one thing I love about the coaching program, though, is how you break stuff down almost from like a scientific level. You're almost like a mad scientist.
Yeah. I probably am going mad, John.
No, come on, not yet.
I can't do it yet, right?
Yeah. Oh man, but with all the things that you deal with and all the people you help, I imagine there's a little insanity from time to time.
There is, yeah. There is. I have to get alone and get in my thoughts sometimes. I was thinking, John. I know you and I've had. We're getting to know each other over the last year or so, and I'm really privileged to know and to be able to have a person like you in my life and your family as well. But I think about some of the conversations we've had. You're such a visionary, and we have we're developing and getting much better at having a really great coaching side or coaching program for clients that need it, and even staff that might need some resourcing at times. One of the things
yes, that's a big part of it too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you've shared with me, and I know I'm just kind of throwing this in, but you would love to see more of this to be online and be remote.
Yeah, just more accessible.
Yeah, because you have people from all over the nation probably reaching out to say, hey, we need this, and maybe there's some things there we've got to work on or that I've got to work on to get better at it. But I know that's a great vision because it's about loving people and trying to love them well.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, we're in a busy society. We're all connected to the internet. If we have professional careers or whatever that we need to step aside from, a lot of us don't have the time. We think, right? We do. It's an illusion to think we don't have the time. But anyways, like if you're supporting a family or needing to do things, being able to go to detox to get your body, more healthy, then go to treatment. You might have 30 days for that. And then hopefully longer, our program's as long as it takes. So as long as people can stay. But some people can't. And that's why I want to really start to develop the remote stuff and the remote coaching that, they can stay with them as long as needed.
And you've got some people doing that already.
We do. Yeah, we do. And we've had good success with it already, just getting it started. But I'm curious, in your opinion, though, from everything that you've seen, and especially just, I know that you focus everywhere, not just on the addiction side, but mainly just kind of focusing on addiction. How long would you say it would normally take for someone to really rewire their brain into an area to where they're living that quality life?
Very good question, and I do believe that in answering it, I'll caveat by saying every person's a little different.
I love that.
Women are different than men, and it does depend upon their level of issues. Because one of the things that we don't want them to do, and this all too well, is that we don't want them to replace something with something else.
Yeah.
We want them to have well-being. In other words, they may move away from one addiction, and they may jump into something else that might just as unhealthy for them later on.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind that is, I think to start seeing the sunrise on wellness and changing unhealthy behaviors and having better habits. For what we try to do here, or what I try to accomplish with, there should be somewhere between 20 and 30, coaching sessions to kind of see some aha moments. And it doesn't mean they're out of the woods, but because I'm a firm believer.
Are we ever though?
No, we're not.
Yeah.
And that's why I was getting ready to say I'm a firm believer. There's I use a model in my practice. Counseling, coaching, and mentoring. And the mentoring piece is, you should pick up the phone, do a wellness check, do a wellness check, once a month, see where your client's at, or see where people are at, and stay connected to them. And I believe in long-term relationships.
Yeah.
And there should be no reason why any of the clients that come through your organization, or any of the clients that come through my hands, that they should, if they're going through something, just pick up the phone, and say, hey, can you talk to me for a few minutes? I just want to make sure I'm right about this. It's a mentoring moment, And, you have some of your own family members do that. I have my own sister does that, So, and it's just great to be able to have that connection, And I would hope that all the folks that come through your organization and the ones that you allow me to help support your cause, that they would always be reaching back to some of the staff people or whoever you have, or yourself, and say, hey, I just want to thank you, and hey, this is what's going on in my life, and just say a prayer for me, or hey, just drop me a line, or whatever the case may be. I think that's really important, that connectivity, piece of all that.
Yeah, staying connected to something is absolutely huge, for sure.
Yeah.
Whatever that is for the individual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you what though, when you get those letters or emails or text messages from family members or past clients that tell you how well their son, daughter, husband, wife is doing, or it's first person to where they actually, I've got a couple letters and a lot of emails from people sharing their gratitude of their new life, and that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah. It's really gratifying work, but people do need to make the first step. They need to make a decision.
Yeah.
They need to invest in themselves, invest in their own wellness. I mean, I don't like to put it that way, but we invest in so many other things. Invest in yourself for a change. And I think that's extremely important, because you have what I see what you're doing, and I don't know it all. I just know the a little bit of pieces that you have asked me to come by and support you with. But and I was talking to some of your staff member earlier today, and I said, you have this organization has such a great, robust opportunity for people to really invest in themselves and get well and grow. Yeah. And they become a productive a member of society again, and find worth. Yeah. Truly find worth. Have an idea of a direction they need to go in or want to go in, and they always have a resource to come back to. If they need.
Absolutely, that. Yeah, and that's something I want to continue to develop and get your help on. But having the proper technology to where maybe we have our app to where they can plug in, ping anytime. Maybe they're not willing to make a phone call. Just making sure they know the path that we're always here for them.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, just always a part of the family if they come through. I was in Walmart last night, and a past client of ours who maybe came through in 2019, something like that. Back when we just had Oasis, I was the ops manager over there. We had our clinical team. I was, for the most part, the admissions team as well. We didn't really have a lot of staff. We had incredible clinicians. But anyways, I saw him in Walmart yesterday. We're both buying basketball cards, right? Because we both collect basketball cards. And sometimes I like to pop over there and get a pack, and he was buying a pack. And we ended up chopping it up for like 20 minutes right there in Walmart. Yeah. Brought me up to speed. Got an incredible job now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Him and his family are doing amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just like being able to see that is incredible. Yeah. And now of course, like we've probably exchanged 40 text messages.
Oh, wow.
About basketball, football. He just got into it a couple months ago. It's something I've been passionate about for a long time.
Yeah.
But just having those connections and then seeing the people in the community doing well is super exciting for me.
That is exciting. That's a win.
It's a win-win. Huge win.
Yeah. Not only for you, for the organization, but for him, and especially his family.
Does he
have kids and stuff?
Yeah.
And especially for them. Yeah. You see how the ripple effect. I mean, this, but I just got to say it. The ripple effect is going, just from this work and really spending time with people and trying to help them. The ripple effect is going further than just, you or him, but now to his wife, his spouse, his kids, probably his in-laws and so forth. And it's amazing to see the wellness that's growing there. That's great.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I can almost see that in my head almost. But I wish we could put that in digital format and watch the impact. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if they really get past that mental block of like, I need this or I need that or I have to have this, back into refocusing on the family, like how do I get these connections healthy? How do I support them? How do I support my community? How do I do this well? That ripple effect, an energetic ripple effect is incredible. Yeah, no, that's definitely what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any last words? Like if you were to talk directly to someone maybe in need of help, what would your message be for them? Let's say they're complete, because we serve the full demographic.
Sure.
Indigent population to, the 1%. We serve everyone. But what would your message be to them?
Oh, that's a great question. If there was a message for someone that just is asking for help, I think one of the things that I would share is that let's observe and identify the problem. And once you identify the problem, then once there's identification, then you know what kind of help you really need. That's one of the first things I would say. And I think maybe another thing that I would probably offer, I said, I would probably provide a little bit of encouragement if they're asking. I said, you know what, you're doing the best thing possible right now. You're asking the question.
Yeah.
Let's now take it to the next step and let's find a resolve. And here's what I would suggest you do. Let's keep talking about this. Let's, if it was me, let's make an appointment, sit down, and we'll talk about this. And then we're going to come up with a treatment plan or a wellness plan for you and move forward with that. I will help you stay accountable. I will put good people in your life, good programs in your life, and we're going to get better at this. And I would probably take that approach because, sometimes people are in question about, they're in fear about all the different things they're having to walk away from right away.
Oh, yeah.
And, and you know this, John, fear is nothing but an avoidance, an escapism. And that's why I turn it back and say, well, let's invest in yourself for a change in your life. And because you'll only get better because of this. But that would be some of the things that I would share. Truly observe and identify what's really going on. Let's keep talking about it, and let's just come up with a pathway of treatment or wellness so that you're going to get there. And fortunately, with the marriage that we have, you have tons of incredible opportunities, professionals, people with great compassion and care, understanding, and so you have all that in place, with your vision and how you want to, be in touch and engage your community. And so, anybody that would have that question, they would, they would need to think twice about not saying no.
Yeah. It's just so interesting. I mean, we're so blessed. And I don't know how the universe works, right? When I was starting Oasis, somehow Vern was put in my life. Vern Leeser, 30-year clinician, incredible clinical director, right?
Yeah, wonderful person.
Wonderful person. And then, for a long time, I felt like we had a good coaching program going, and I feel like we did, right? And then that kind of came to an end, and we tried some other things that they worked a little bit. They didn't, it wasn't incredible. Nothing we were overly, thrilled about. And then, comes Dr. Will Cunningham, and it's like, how does the universe continue to give gifts to this organization to have people like yourself help raise the bar, right? So it's like and you don't know when you're in it, right? So when I'm in it with my last coaching program, I'm thinking, man, this is the best thing we got. This is amazing. No one else is doing this kind of work. And then we get to start to work with you, and, I start to understand the diversity of your coaching, mentoring, and everything else that you do. And just the opportunity for some of our clients to be with you, to spend time with you, for you to break down things on a very analytical level, and help explain stuff to folks. It's just they get cognitions that are uncommon. So you're able to reach some of the clients that I think we have struggled with in the past. So I'm very hopeful for this year. Everyone that you get to work with, I already know our success rates with them are going to go up. And for that, I feel super blessed.
I appreciate you saying that. Well, people are worth it.
They are.
They really are. I know
That's
that
all we got, right?
I know that our society doesn't say it a lot, and we don't hear it a lot. And most people beat up themselves.
Big time. But I'm good at that. By the way. I don't know if you are.
I can be, but I believe that we are really worth it. And it kind of goes back to maybe a lot of the earlier things that I said, when I was there in Lebanon and in Beirut and working with these organizations. Although I was a operative, if you will, years before dealing with, this Syrian population. Now I'm there to help them, and what's wrong with picking up a weapon of love and a kindness and a weapon of compassion and care and understanding? It's weapons.
Such a huge shift.
Yeah, and you're tackling this from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to pull out my long arm, my sidearm, my gun, and make threats.
More effective.
It is far more effective, and that's what people need. We're not meant to be alone anyway. We're not. We're meant to really help each other. So I appreciate the kind words. Thanks.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is we already aligned from the beginning too, because like you work with every demographic too. Like when I found out that, you'll provide therapy to really anyone that asks.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't afford it at the time, you allow them the luxury of continuing therapy with you.
I sure will. I won't turn some people away.
No. Yeah, and we've historically always been the same way too. I love our scholarship clients just as much as any other client we have. Humans are human,
Yeah.
And they're all so diverse and unique and different. And I can only imagine within your overall practice that there's a lot of diversity there.
Yeah, there is.
A wide range.
There is tons. I mean, I have, from every walk of profession. I've had SEAL operators. I've had CIA agents, literally, that have, I wrote this book and that people picked up. I had this guy in, believe it or not,
what's the book called?
France, Where I Belong,
okay.
A Journey Declassified. And so I had wrote this book about a lot of this stuff that I had shared with you about my journey and how I got into this. And this guy had picked it up, and he was working with the CIA in France, and he shows up in my office in Asheville, North Carolina, after going through some type of thing in France. He says, "Listen, I need to talk to you." Of course, we don't know who, I can't say who it is or anything, but I said, "Are you kidding me?" And so. Because I was a bit therapeutic in my book about certain things going through. I was real about my life. And it was really helpful for a lot of people.
I'm gonna have to read that.
Yeah. So the diversity is great. Teenagers, to adults, moms to husbands, single parents to single dads and single moms. I've got a wide diversity. Those that are have issues with anxiety or depression or addiction issues. Nobody is without a need of care, and I think that I don't know. I just try to practice a model. Maybe it's because my values have changed a little bit that I just don't want to leave no man behind. I want to do good, and so sometimes I know that I can. Some people might think I'm pricey, and I'm not, but I think sometimes if they can't afford it, I'll scale it for them so they can afford to get some treatment and plans, because if they go to anywhere else, they may not get it at all.
Yeah, we do, and we try so hard to do the same thing. Yeah.
It's difficult. I mean, it is difficult because our society demands so much more of resources, and it costs.
Yeah, everything's very expensive.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, in order to have the staff that we have, it's gone up exponentially since when we started.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like taking care of the team is extremely important.
Yeah.
So of course the services at times seem expensive, but it's definitely, like you said, it's an investment.
Yeah, it truly is, and it is truly a low cost investment compared to the problems that you may incur if you keep going down the same route.
And just go back a couple years and add those up, right?
Yeah.
And add up how expensive those really were, versus getting help and then what you could potentially do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I never want finances to deter anybody from calling.
Yeah.
I've let admissions reps go before. From listening to a call with someone that clearly states they don't have resources, and then them just kind of cutting them off really early.
Right.
That's not what we're about. Like if we don't have scholarships available, we're gonna find something.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna find a place where you can get help.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love the work we do. I can't stop thinking about because this is something I used to be really stuck on, the effect, right? So like we have the client, but the energetic effect on all the people in their life.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about it, especially today, because I feel like society, it's just proven that like it's more challenging.
It is.
More people are medicated. There's a lot more depression. There's a lot more anxiety. So like putting those good energies back out into circles that hopefully become wider circles is crucial. I think now more than ever.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Recently there was a report that came out. It's called from the Pew Trust, or the Pew Report, and it is. They said now that as of last year, this was last year's statistics, that 47% of America is now considered having problems with anxiety.
Wow.
And the problem with anxiety,
You just chalk that up to 50%.
Yeah, absolutely. It is right at there, 50%. And the problem with anxiety is that we, in a coaching moment with John here, but anxiety is nothing more when you're not in control of an act, experience, an event.
Right.
And so what you do is you go and find something that you are in control of humanly. And that's where the addictive behavior comes in. And so when we have such a high rate of anxiety in the world that we live in, far bigger and far more problematic, far more questionable, well, people are going to find some type of outlet or something they're in control of. But the problem is it ends up controlling them.
Yeah.
And that's where the addictive behaviors come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we want to help people do is say, hey, we got to figure this out. Slow down,
Yeah. I don't remember who told me, but someone was talking to me about the director a long time ago. And it's like, we have to stop being the director. That's not our job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Source energy, God, the universe is in control.
Yeah.
It's by all means not us. We can just do our little part.
Yeah.
But normally when my anxiety flares up, it's those things. It's stuff that I can't control.
Yeah.
Or it's in the future, and that's where fear comes too for me.
Sure.
And I'm grateful for practices that I've finally put in my toolbox over the years that I can use. And then sometimes those practices I have to call someone for help.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I can't handle it.
It's absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's really important. You have to and that goes back to what we said earlier. That's the first wave of identifying, hey, there's something going on. I need to talk about it. And once you've done that, we've identified something. Now we can get on a pathway of resolve. And, so that's great. That's awesome.
Well, Dr. Will, I appreciate you so much spending time with us today.
It
was a pleasure. Yeah, I learned a little bit more. But again, just sharing gratitude for having you on the team, man.
Thank you for allowing me just to, do what's right in front of me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.